Hi, hello, and a very warm welcome to another video. In this video, I'm going to discuss Bookkeeping 101. It's true that doing your own bookkeeping can be a complete nightmare. So whether you're starting a new business or you've been running an online store for years, learning how to track your expenses and revenue can feel like a huge challenge. You're not alone. Nearly three-fourths of small business owners feel they are not very knowledgeable when it comes to bookkeeping and accounting. On top of running your business, you also have to manage an asset account, your tax returns, your credit card chargeback, and more. I know it can be confusing and overwhelming if you're diving in this sort of thing for the first time. But it doesn't have to be. This is where I come in. In this video, I'm going to discuss extensively how to successfully keep records for your small business. So let's get into the first section of this topic. And that is, what does bookkeeping actually entail? Bookkeeping is the process of recording and managing all your financial transactions for your business, including sales, purchases, and payments. So as a bookkeeper, you track all your costs, your income, to help your company help your company make informed financial choices. So really, the goal of bookkeeping is to show you your business's bigger financial picture, balance your accounts, and improve cash flow management in a more strategic way. Now, what are the 5 basic types of bookkeeping accounts? These are the basics of bookkeeping. In business bookkeeping, an account is a record of all debit and credit entries of a certain type, such as accounts payable or payroll, for example. And there are 5 basic types of accounts. The first one is the assets. These are the resources or things of value owned by a company as the result of its transactions. For example, your inventory or accounts receivable. And then we have liabilities. That is the second type of account in bookkeeping. And liabilities refer to the obligations and debts that you own as a company, for example, to suppliers, to banks, to lenders, or other providers of goods and services. For example, maybe you have some loans or you have some accounts payable. The third type of account is revenues or income. Now, this refers to the money that you have earned as a company through sales or providing a service. And then we have what we call an expenses type of account. And this simply refers to the cash, cash that flows out of your company to pay for assets or services. For example, utilities or to pay for salaries. And finally, the fifth type of basic type of account that we have in bookkeeping is equity. And this refers to the remaining value of an owner's interest in a company after liabilities have been subtracted. For example, stock or retained earnings. So small business accounting begins with setting up each account so that you can record transactions in the appropriate category. Is it assets? Is it liabilities? Is it revenues or income? Is it expenses? Is it equity? This makes up your general ledger. So you likely won't have the same exact bookkeeping processes as the next e-commerce store, but many different accounting methods are common depending on your business's needs. Now let's look at exactly how to keep your books in 3 steps. That is, bookkeeping in 3 steps. The first step is maintain and update your financial records. Okay, maintain and update your financial records. Let me explain. Bookkeeping involves working with numbers, and most of the work involves basic math and accounting. The details depend on the type of business you own, but it can include tasks like setting accounts receivable and bank statements, recording financial transactions, invoicing, billing, and tracking payroll. You'll also need to take care of other finance-related matters, including tax bookkeeping for payroll, income, employment, and even small business tax deductions. You'll also need to take care of budget planning to help the company stay on track and grow. And finally, you will need to get financial statements, for example, balance sheets, income statement, cash flow, and changes in equity ready for stakeholders. So bookkeeping requires careful analysis and a little legal know-how. In the event your business is ever audited, you want to make sure your records are in order and deductions are legitimate. Now, the second step in bookkeeping is keeping track of what everyone is doing or spending. Okay, so keeping track of what everyone is doing and spending. Let me explain. Financial bookkeeping can take a great deal of time. So you have to ensure accuracy for each financial transaction. Plus, you have to balance the books each day and track payments in and out from employees. This means to master bookkeeping and accounting, you should have excellent communication and organization skills. On any given day, you may need to collect receipts from employees, manage travel expenses, or reimburse people for costs. Creating a system for submissions and reimbursements is going to help you make sure you don't miss a transaction and that records stay up to date and accurate. Now, the third step in bookkeeping is using bookkeeping services to improve processes. So good bookkeeping or accounting software should be in your kit of small business accounting tools. And with the rise in virtual bookkeeping and other types of online booking services, small business owners need to keep up with the latest technology. And with good bookkeeping services or software, you can streamline data entry, create detailed financial reports, consolidate your data, and automate record keeping. It's also an easy way to improve accuracy across your business and eliminate time spent doing repetitive tasks. And when it comes to bookkeeping, then we do have the double entry bookkeeping versus the single entry bookkeeping. Now, in the single entry bookkeeping method, business transactions are recorded as you make deposits and pay bills into your company account, like keeping a check register. And this method works best for smaller businesses with a small amount of transactions. On the other hand, we have double entry bookkeeping. This particular one is for businesses of any size and complexity. And in this method, when an entry is made to an account, a corresponding and opposite entry is made to a different one. For example, if you record a revenue of $100, you would make 2 entries. That is a debit of $100 to increase your cash balance sheet and a credit entry of $100 to increase the income statement account revenue. Let's move on to some e-commerce bookkeeping obligations that you would need to master. Okay, so what do you need to do daily? On a daily basis, the one general bit of bookkeeping that needs to be on your mind is receipts. Keep a paper trail of anything that happens in your business, which might mean keeping the receipt from your coffee meeting with a new supplier, or bookmarking the email receipt from your latest round of digital ads, for example. The reason it's so important to keep these records is simple. To get the full tax benefit of claiming legitimate business expenses, you need to be able to support them. So if you don't have adequate support, you can actually be denied both tax credits or deductible expenses, which, if you are actually entitled to them, can be a big hit at tax time. Okay, so your daily bookkeeping task is to make sure you've got a plan to keep track of receipts, invoices, and relevant emails. You want these documents to be easily accessible, so working with them doesn't require significant time or effort. Okay, receipts and invoices, you can keep them in a specified folder, and if you tend to get emails from specific senders, for example your software providers, digital ads and the like, you can set up a simple rule in your inbox to funnel them into a small folder called receipts and invoices. Anytime an invoice or a receipt is received, you should definitely ensure that you save that in your specified folder. Now, what should you do weekly? So what should you do weekly? Bookkeeping shouldn't balloon into a huge weekly task on your to-do list. There are two key things to keep an eye on every week, and that is your cash flow statement and your variable expenses, especially when they are brand new. Pay attention to your cash flow. Do you have money in the bank? How much, and what does that money need to cover? That's what you're looking for. Or you're looking at when it comes to your cash flow. Aside from your revenue and expenses, the key thing is managing your cash and your cash flow. There's usually a misconception that if you have revenue of, let's say for example, X amount, then you have cash of that amount just sitting there. But that's not necessarily the case. On a day-to-day basis, you might need to make decisions about when to buy something or how much to spend on your business. So understanding how much cash you have on hand and what else that cash needs to cover is a key part of managing your books and your business. So keep an eye on new or variable expenses. Okay, most of the time watching and reviewing your expenses can be a monthly task, but if you have any expenses or variable any new or variable expenses, you'll want to keep a close eye on them to make sure they're aligned with your expectations. Take marketing expenses, for example. If you've recently allocated a budget to run paid ads and it fluctuates day by day, then you should keep a close eye on it until you're comfortable with the behavior. After all, if there are ways to evaluate new initiatives and expenses before the end of the month, you can make faster but still informed decisions. So what should you do monthly then? Now, if you're working with an in-house or remote bookkeeper, you'd probably be in touch with them to check on your books on a monthly basis. But as a DIYer, if you're doing it yourself, then you should make a plan to sit down and commit some time on a monthly basis to keep your books in order. First, get a business snapshot. On a monthly basis, you should be looking at your business as a whole. to understand how things are going and to get a feel for the bigger picture. At the end of the month, you want to make sure you've got all of your expenses in, and then look at your sales, your expenses, your income, and your cash position as a whole. You'll also want to make sure to look at any key areas of the business that you're interested in. Use bookkeeping services or software to track trends that you're, from month to month, and think about how you'll handle the upcoming month from a financial perspective. You can also pay special attention to any new projects, campaigns, or operational changes to see if they're impacting your sales or your expenses or both. So what should you really keep an eye on monthly? What expenses should you keep an eye on? Your monthly review is a good time to think more strategically about how expenses fit into your business. Always look at expenses deeply, even when you're performing well in sales. A large success indicator in business is profitability, and you can often create unexpected profit by analyzing your expenses and creatively finding ways to lower them. Okay, you can find different ways to cut costs by looking into supplier discounts based on your payment history, your bulk ordering, or pre-ordering certain products. And please stay organized. If there's a tax and bookkeeping cliche every entrepreneur can identify with, it's the shoebox full of receipts. The dream, of course, is to hand that shoebox off to a CPA or one of the many bookkeeping services that can make sense of it all. But there are ways you can tackle the shoebox all on your own. So do your monthly review, go through all of your stored receipts in your email, your Google Drive file, for example, and your shoebox. Sort them into expense categories, book both to keep yourself organized for tax season and to get a look at how much you're really spending on inventory orders versus advertising. Remember to adjust based on what you need to know. No two businesses are the same. And while there are fundamentals that are true for every business, your unique mix of revenue and expenses may lead to a slightly different set of bookkeeping needs from that of others. So remember, if you're recording everything you need for tax and bookkeeping purposes, and you're getting the financial information you need to make strategic decisions about your business, you can opt to streamline processes that aren't critical to either of those things. So are there some helpful bookkeeping software? Is there some, help bookkeeping software out there that could help you? Now, if you're looking for ways to make online bookkeeping easier, there are a number of tools that you can consider depending on the needs of your business. The first app that I would recommend is the A2X. Okay, A2X. Now, this is an app that can help you. For example, if you are carrying out your business on Shopify, for example, this app automatically posts Shopify store sales to Xero or QuickBooks and reconciles your payouts so that you can see everything that has been that everything has been accounted for correctly. Another bookkeeping software that you could look into is OneSaaS integrations. Now, OneSaaS connects business apps across accounting, e-commerce, fulfillment, CRM, billing, and invoicing, as well as email marketing, so that you can easily build custom workflow and create a bookkeeping system that grows with your business. You could also look at FreshBooks is another bookkeeping software, FreshBooks, and this cloud bookkeeping software helps you manage, for example, Shopify orders in FreshBooks based on 3 objects, that is items, invoices, and payments. Another one is QuickBooks. QuickBooks is going to be helpful. with your orders, inventory, customers, and shipping. And also you could look at Bench. Bench is also another useful bookkeeping software that you could have a look at. So now, if you found this video helpful, please like the video, share the video with somebody else so that they can also benefit, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel, because remember, my goal is to help you thrive financially. If it has anything to do with money and it's business related, I applaud it. So subscribe, like, and share this video. Now, thank you very much, and I shall see you in our next video. Bye bye.